I could go on all day. This is Only One Kenobi here. Only one. I love that show, man. I really do. I've just been watching the Series 2, Episode 1. Hope you don't mind the introduction there. Why not start with something a little bit different? How many channels are you going to see that on, huh? So subscribe to Only One Kenobi. Only one. Let's talk business now. The Mandalorian. So every time I sit down to watch something new Star Wars, I get very, very nervous, you know? I mean, it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be something we have to tolerate for the rest of our lives. Last season, Mandalorian was fantastic, you know? Brilliant. Absolutely amazing. Hard to find people who found fault with it, really. I mean, obviously you could pick anything apart, you know, and maybe there were a few things that you could have attacked there. But anyway, overall, it was amazing. So I was very nervous about this series. What was it going to be like? If I keep looking over here, by the way, that's because I've got a few notes there. Anyway, so this was Series 2, Episode 1. And it started out, first of all, yeah, I really liked it, yeah? Really good. I'll pull up a couple of images for you as well as we go. I found that one just now on Google, but also this here, which I'll talk to you about that later. By the way, this is going to be full-on spoilers. I mean, who the hell is going to do a non-spoiler review? I mean, who wants to watch a non-spoiler review? Definitely not me. Anyway, I'll pull that one back up again there. So, the very start of the episode was they were on a kind of a graffiti planet. Graffiti planet. He moseyed on into a town, like we've seen him do before. The child was with him. They did their usual introduction, you know, telling you what was in the previous season. And it was like you haven't missed a beat, you know. That's the one thing I love about this. The whole thing, the pace is fantastic. So, we go through and then we see what we've seen in the trailer. He goes into this kind of club. This Twi'lek dude lets him in. There's graffiti on the walls, almost like, I don't know what I was looking at. I've seen it twice, by the way, this episode. I wanted to see it twice, in case I'd missed anything. It's an hour long, and it looked like there were clones in the graffiti. I don't know. Maybe they got some artists out there to subtly do some Star Wars graffiti in an abandoned town, but I could see clones in there. Anyway, let me know what you saw. And then you see the two Gamos fighting in the ring. It's like a kind of a Fight Club type thing. And guess who's in the crowd? I don't know if you saw it, but blink and you'll miss it. Constable Zuvio is in there. That was amazing. A little nod to a guy that never made it to The Force Awakens. So, to cut to the chase, the Mandalorian is looking for another Mandalorian. He sees that the only way that he can find the true heritage of the child is to find other Mandalorians to help him with the search. I think that's the gist of it. So, long story short, this guy he meets there in a club sends him to Tatooine. I was actually really pleased to go back to Tatooine. I've just been watching Series 1, you see, and one of the episodes I was soaking in, not necessarily my favourite episode of Series 1, was the one when he goes to the cantina and he's in the hangar bay with that woman. I knew she'd come back, but she's there, she meets him. Like, they'd never missed a beat. So he drops off at the hangar bay. And then here's a little bit of something that I thought was like, you know, because there's fan service that's subtle. And I always found in The Mandalorian, the fan service is subtle. It's just there and it kind of just right. Then again, I always thought the fan service or the stuff that was the tip of the hat to the original trilogy in Rogue One was just right. But there's a whole horde of people. You know, Red Letter Media was someone who attacked Rogue One and said, you know, oh, it's just ATST. Maybe they were just joking, but I think that a lot of people didn't get onto what Rogue One was about. They said it was too fan service. Well, okay, fair enough. I don't really buy that. I think they're, hey, you just watch yourself. Maybe that's... And the Scarif, they're going to Scarif, R2. Maybe they are a bit OTT. But this, I thought, was just right. So, but apart from the R5-D4, when he comes in, you think, oh, they didn't have to do him, did they, really? They didn't have to include that. So maybe that was just a step too far with regards to the tips of the hat to the original trilogy. However, it was quite cool to see him there. So that droid shows up a map of Tatooine, which was nice, and she points out Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, and this new place, Mos Pelgo. This is where she knows there is a Mandalorian there. So you immediately start to think, Boba Fett? Is it Boba Fett? We'll come to that later. So Mos Pelgo, it had a kind of a cliche Western look to it, you know. But we've always, you know, let me start that again. The previous season was likened to a Western, but when I first watched it, it's not me being daft, it's just me, I was just soaking up the whole experience a year ago, and I never made the analogy of it being a Western. Which sounds daft. But when you look back at it, it is, isn't it? Things like the it is, isn't it? Maybe it's because the first planet we went onto in the last series was an ice planet, so that didn't seem like the Wild West. But this on Tatooine did. Plus, it was such a cliche Western town. This Mos Pelgo, you know, houses to the left, houses to the right, and he's just walking right down the middle, you know. But it was still cool, still great. So he meets a guy in a cantina. It's a Weequay in there, just called Weequay as well. And you wonder why he's called that. Is it you know, derogatory to just call him Weequay? But I suppose it's like saying, like, in England we might know somebody who's a Geordie, say, "All right, Geordie, yeah, Geordie, come over here, Geordie," you know, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so in Mos Pelgo he meets the marshal of the town, and he is wearing Boba Fett's armour. You know it's not Boba Fett when you see him. You know it's his armour, and it looks a little bit more beaten up and scratched than we've seen it before. But his shoulders aren't as broad, or something's not right, and you can see his under. But it could have been Boba Fett, but it wasn't. He takes his helmet off, and the guy who plays him, spitting image of FlyGuy.net, Steve. My God, man, doppelganger. How cool is that, man? You know, and I know how much he is a massive Boba Fett fan. So I feel sad now. I wish they'd got him to do it instead of this other actor. So he basically has a bit of a standoff with Armando, and he says, you know, your armour, I'm taking it. You know, there's no two ways about it. And the guy, you know, he stands his ground and says, well, if you want to take it, you can come and get it, kind of thing. And then the ground starts to shake, and this crazy thing is happening. You don't know what it is. You think, is it a spaceship coming in, or what? Or something Imperial, or something like that. But no, it's a massive shift of the ground, huge quake in the sand through the middle of the town. And I thought it was Sarlacc or something on the move, although they stay in one place, Sarlaccs. I thought it was a different type of Sarlacc that moved. It wasn't. It was a huge, turned out it was a Krayt Dragon. I didn't realise they were that big, but it was huge. This thing was massive, and it had a face like Little Shop of Horrors type thing. Scary, you know. God damn it, it was nasty. You wouldn't want to be living anywhere where that thing is, and that's where these people are living, where he kind of would stomp through. Quite lucky he didn't take the houses out. Anyway, cut a long story short, to get the armour, the Mando does a deal with the marshal, and he says, well, you know, I'll give you the armour if you help us kill that thing. To do that, the Tuskens are involved as well, Tusken Raiders, so how the hell did they get involved? I don't remember now. How did he get the Tusken Raiders involved? They're talking about Tuskens anyway, and then it turns out the Tuskens want rid of this thing more than as much as they do. That's one thing they've got common ground on, so, you know. Anyway, so what they do is they make a deal. They go off to look for the Tusken Raiders, and these dogs appear. And I remember looking at the dogs when I watched it earlier, and I thought, I've seen them before. What? They're so familiar. I couldn't put my finger on it. And I remember now, when Anakin slaughters all those Tuskens, it's them. So it's obviously, they're pretty fierce, but our Mando does a call to them or something. He obviously can speak the lingo. He's obviously in with the Tuskens, which is fantastic. Fascinating to watch that. And it's like a little dog. He goes and befriends them, and they become the sweetest things in the world, these dogs. They look vicious and savage, like they'd rip your head off before that. So an alliance is made with the Tuskens, and they team up. They go back to the town to figure out a plan to get the dragon out of there. And I've written something down here which is quite interesting, and it didn't cross my mind. Bantha fodder I wrote down here. Check it out. Look at that. Bantha fodder, or Bantha Poodle. Now this didn't occur to me when I was watching the episode, but that phrase, Bantha fodder, Bantha Poodle, we've heard that since Return of the Jedi. It's been said also by You're going to Bantha Poodle by Sebulba. I wrote Bantha fodder down by accident. I was writing about how they got the plan. They schemed a plan to get the dragon out of there. And one thing they do to the dragon is they keep feeding it banthas to keep it asleep in the cave. The more it eats, the more it sleeps. So I was going to write something down like the bantha to draw it out, and I thought, well, what does that mean? Well, what's another word for luring something? And I thought, fodder, bantha fodder, cannon fodder. Oh my God, and then it just clicked. Maybe that's where, without doubt, where the phrase comes from. Anyway, so there's an elaborate scheme to get the dragon out of there. Big fight, and it takes place. Just go and watch the episode if you haven't seen it. And it's fantastic to watch it, you know, so much action. And in the end, they kill it, of course. And big alliance between the Tuskens and the humans. That's the thing about the Tuskens. I'm sorry to see how advanced they are, because I really wanted to see in the Kenobi series, I wanted to see some goings on with the Tuskens. I thought they were going to be more savage than they are here. They seem to have a lot of intelligence and they can be reasoned with. I didn't think they were that kind of species. I wanted to see a sequence in the Kenobi thing whereby they were so savage and always on the prowl and on the move that Obi-Wan, maybe they will still do this, but was constantly like a vigilante, you know, watching over these guys and scaring them away all the time to protect the human families and stuff around Luke Skywalker. That could still happen, but obviously you can see that they aren't as savage as they're perceived as being. You know, they've got a bad rep in A New Hope, and they're also pretty mean in Attack of the Clones, obviously. You know, they look like they're up to total no good there. But obviously, you know, they can be reasoned and communicated with, which is interesting. And that is about it, really. I just thought it was a fantastic episode. It's like dipping your toe in the Star Wars sand. No pun intended. It was all on Tatooine. I was one happy customer, you know. I don't know about you. I am not wrong, and neither are you. I can totally understand if this wasn't your cup of tea. There's bound to be something that didn't float your boat. Like what I was saying before with R5-D4. It was almost like it was a step too far. Anyway, before the end, off they all go. The guy, Steve, flyguy.net guy, says, no doubt we'll meet again or something. He's in like, you know, likewise, or I hope, I bank on it or something like that. Off they go, all friends. But then overwatching is Boba Fett on the hillside there, and he turns around, and it was so good to see Tamora Morrison, and he looks like he's got the gaffy sticks or whatever the things are of the Tusken Raiders. What an amazing story. I can't wait for this to play out. I don't know when we're going to find out. Maybe it'll be the end of the series now. We'll find out about what the deal is with Boba Fett. But it was awesome. Other things that I thought were really cool, other than the guy who played the Marshal, was awesome. The speeder bike of his was like a converted pod racer. And you know, not just any pod racer, that looked like Anakin's, you know, one wing of Anakin's pod racer. And finally, I like things like the second Death Star blast, and then obviously you saw straight after that the turmoil in that one place, that Mos Pelgo. There was a whole massive siege of the place, you know, loads of raiders came in and took over it. Seconds after freedom was supposed to be declared when that Death Star blew, but all of that was just so nice to see that. That is what this series does. It kicks ass on giving you expanded universe of our universe, man. That's all I'm going to say. So let me know what you thought about it. If you enjoyed it, please do let me know. If you didn't like it or there was something you thought was rubbish, let's get a discussion started and let me know what your thoughts were. In the meantime, if you are new around here, subscribe. I have been Only One Kenobi, only one. Do hit the thumb up button as well if you have enjoyed it. And I'll see you for another video. I shall be doing these, I think, every episode. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one.